thought of photography as a naughty thing to do. That was one of my favorite things about it, and when I first did it, I felt very perverse. That's Diane Arbus. I am Justin. You're listening to The Gear Freaks. I'm jersey number 14.
And I am Corey, jersey number 72. Thanks for taking part in episode 3. And speaking of getting naughty and perverse, we're about to get really weird today because we are now at the cream of the crop of our top 10 list. We gave you 10 through 6 on episode 2. This is the elite of the elite in our book. So things are about to get a little weird in here, ladies and gentlemen.
You know, you just kind of halfway quoted Randy Savage.
I know.
And that probably could have worked as a quote, too.
Right. It could have. I didn't have the... In retrospect, hindsight's always 20/20. I could have tried to reach down and get the Randy Savage voice, but I don't know if I've got that in my loins right now.
That's one of those things, though. If you do it wrong, you feel like a fool forever.
Right, exactly. So it's like, unless you know you can nail the dismount, just the words are fine.
Yes, and plus I got to say perverse.
Yes, it's anytime you can work perversion into a conversation, you win. That's what she said.
So we're going to jump right into it because we've got 5 more to go, and I have a feeling that these could spark a little bit more conversation.
Yes.
I get the feeling that because we were able to do what we did last time, and those were like the bottom of the barrel.
Exactly.
So I'm going to start here, and this was a team that I should hate. They beat my Mets a couple years ago in the World Series, but they've forever had top-notch baseball gear.
They have.
The Kansas City Royals.
You are now making me upset that I did not. They're great. They are great. First of all, the name alone.
Good.
There is not another Royals anywhere in sports, at least
not
to
anymore.
my knowledge.
Yeah.
And the colors are amazing. You've got the powder blue alternate. Again, powder blue on a turd is a sweet-looking turd. The hats, everything. And it's not necessarily a gear detail, but I always liked how Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City had the big-ass crown in the outfield. It's so cool, man. Like when you grew up playing video games and everything, it's iconic.
These whites with the Royals in cursive across, it's so simple.
It is.
But God, does it look good.
That simplicity, though, that's all you need sometimes, you know?
And again, I should hate them.
Right.
They crushed my dreams a couple years back.
They did.
4-1 just playing baseball.
Right. But how can you hate the Royals because they have been ass for basically our entire lives? Yeah. And you know, I think that was the first World Series they've been in since 1980 when they lost to my Phillies, which I can't take claim to because that's well before my lifetime. But this is again, we talk about, and I'm a hat guy. This is a hat that's in my collection. I love the Royals, man. I've always liked them. The name, just everything about it works. And if you're gonna, that royal blue, none of their unis look bad.
Nope.
They don't have a bad one in their wardrobe at all.
So this one going across, we have the whites with the cursive Royals, and then the aways are Kansas City, and it's gray on gray, but it works.
It does.
And then you got the powder blue homes, and then there's like a royal blue homes.
Yeah.
And then there's these ones that look kind of like practice gear.
Right.
Which
spring
even those
training.
Even those are like, as far as spring training goes.
Right. It looks as good as you can in Arizona or Florida in April or March or whenever the hell spring training is.
But this was another one that they didn't pop up immediately. They were like an outlier. And then I had an NFL team drop, and I'm just thinking about them. And I'm like, what about the Royals? Oh, here's one I didn't care for too much.
Yeah.
They went like it's a black jersey, the black hat with the blue brim, and it looks like it's their homes because it's Royals across the front. It's everything the same except for it's a black jersey, and it's like,
yeah.
I mean, almost any team could do the black jersey and it works.
Right.
But you're the Royals.
You can't, right? You can't do the black alternate there. And again, that's such a fad that went just everywhere across sports, like, hey, let's do the black alternate thing. If you're the Royals, you can tell that to piss up a rope because you don't. Yeah, you don't need it. It's nowhere in your color scheme, and for a reason, because black's one of those that can go anywhere for the most part. You know
almost
what I mean?
Any team can do black.
Yeah,
it'll work.
save for the Royals, blue and white. Like every team's kind of got like the third color in a way. Even if it's so much as serves as just an outline for the numbers or for the name or whatever the case may be. But the Royals have two colors, the blue and white, and that's all you need. That's all you ever need. And I'm pissed at myself now because I had a couple baseball that I eliminated. I should have opened my closet and looked at my hat collection because I would have put them in there. I would have seen my Royals hat and gone, yes. And I'm mad at myself now for not including them, but I'm glad you touched on them because they absolutely deserve to be in this conversation. And I failed miserably by missing them because they probably, if they did not make my list, they would have been in my honorable mentions instead of that Arizona Diamondbacks deal.
But man, I'm looking at these so these are the more current like powders, but like I think about back to like the Saberhagen powders.
Yes.
Like it's just they don't have bad uniforms.
They don't.
And it's really a timeless uniform. So
it is.
Kansas City Royals are my number 5.
What a way to start this one off. Okay, I'm going to go white hot. And I almost, ending, last episode, the Miami Heat Vice City editions almost made my top 5. They were almost here, but I had to bump them back a little bit. And maybe this is a bit of nostalgia because you tend to look at everything from through the prism of your childhood and remember it fondly. I'm going to go Wayne Gretzky makes an appearance a lot in my countdown. I'm influenced a lot by 99, apparently, despite being a Flyers fan. But I'm going with, to start my top 5, the mid, 90s, the angled stripe and horn St. Louis Blues sweaters that had kind of the angled tail stripe at the bottom that was red. You had the yellow accents there. The numbers on the back even were kind of slanted. I don't know what it is about these, but I've always loved them. I love the Blues. The Blues have they're another team.
How can you hate the Blues?
There's not a lot of bad Blues gear ever, and they just won the Cup last year. Watching Brett Hull drunk sing Gloria at the Stanley Cup parade was just amazing. They just brought these back this year, I believe, as one of their official alternates. And, you look at those, and it's the entire 1990s on a sweater.
You're not wrong.
Those angled stripes and that horn logo on the shoulders, that patch is solid. I like the way they work the red in there. It's not in their current color scheme, but the Blues are another one that have never had bad gear. I just always, when I think of the Blues, aside from, what they currently have, this is always one I go back to because I look at it and I remember when they came out with these and I was like, yo, little 7-year-old me was giddy over these suckers.
So I think of a couple things when I think of this gear specifically. First of all, of the Blues gear, this isn't even my favorite Blues gear, but you're 100% right. Like, this is everything about the 90s in one sweater. First of all, this one specifically, we're looking at Gretzky. Gretzky is the 90s when it comes to hockey.
Right.
And obviously, we're rocking number 99. It's the weird angle of the
one large 9 coupled with the smaller 9.
Again, this is a jersey that shouldn't work.
It should not.
There's nothing about it. Like, when you say it out like the way we've had to so far, it's like, nah, dude, get that out of here.
Yeah.
But the color scheme works. St. Louis doesn't have a bad uni.
They don't.
I love their current gear. I love the gear before this. Again, of St. Louis's gear, this is probably my least favorite. That's why I was shocked you went with it. But it makes me think of, bear with me here,
You're good.
Real World London. MTV reality shows. So there was a cat, his name was Mike, I believe. Now I can't remember, but he was from St. Louis.
Okay.
And he was forever rocking one of these. It wasn't Gretzky. It was a different player. I don't know what. It was probably Hull.
I was going to say Brett Hull or
No,
Al
Shanahan.
McInnes.
It was Shanahan.
Oh, I hate Brendan Shanahan.
It was Brendan Shanahan. And he was constantly wearing this St. Louis Blues jersey. And I'm like, all right. I get it, I guess.
Right.
I'm with it.
Right.
And he was just forever wearing. I'm pretty sure it was one of these though. I like the whites better than the blues. The
whites are good too, man. And it's again, you say it out loud. If you just say to somebody, "Hey, let's put different size numbers on a sweater," Like, get out of here, man. No. In what world would that work? But even that aggressive, gaudy tail stripe, then the stripe that's on the sleeves, that should not work because it's just bulky.
Too much. It's a lot.
Bulky. And
look at all these extra stripes. Like there's
right.
forever stripes.
There's way too much there. And it's funny because I had 2 blues in my initial when I was putting everything together.
See, these are.
I love those, and see the one that I had was the other one I had, and I ended up cutting that and ultimately going with this one because childhood, yay. I had they wore it in the Winter Classic, and I believe it was 2018 against the Blackhawks, and it ended up being their alternate. It's kind of a powder blue. There is no red, as there never was in Blues history except for this fucking thing. But it's the powder blue, and it just has the Blues logo. I always kind of like that it's a small detail too with this the Gretzky, the one that's on my list here. You never see, it's the only one that I know of where the Blues, the note has St. Louis in it. I don't know why, but I was like, that's pretty cool.
It's a nice touch.
It's a cool little detail, yeah. And I don't think that appears throughout any of the other Blues editions. I don't think. I could be wrong. But I like it, man. I got rid of the alternate Winter Classic one in favor of this one just because it shouldn't work. It's hyper aggressive, and yeah.
I think another understated thing here. You mentioned it, but like that horn logo.
Yeah, man.
God, that's good.
It is. That is if you can. There's some shoulder patches on hockey jerseys. You and I have talked before.
Colorado.
Right, about the footprint of the Avalanche back when that was a thing that are just awful. You know what I mean? But that one is perfect in every way. The horn shoulder patch. So it's fairly obscure. It didn't stick around very long. I think it was they only wore it, I think, from like maybe 95 to 98-ish. Maybe not even that long, and it just popped back up as an alternate this past year, but it won the war of the St. Louis Blues in terms of my countdown.
Interesting. Especially for top 5. Interesting. I can see the Blues being in top 5, but this one specifically being top 5 is that one threw me for a loop. It's like the West Virginia Mountaineers.
Right. But see, yours was at 10. This is I bumped Miami Vice in favor of 90s clusterfuck.
Hey, man, what are you going to do? It's not like they're bad jerseys. It's just they're not my favorite St. Louis.
There's just a lot going on.
Yeah. All right. As it probably pains you to see me type this city.
No.
But I have to.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I have to because...
No, this is acceptable now.
The Pittsburgh Pirates uniforms, save for I think maybe late 90s, early 2000s, they went with a giant pirate head.
Yes.
I'm like, nah, man,
awful.
get that out of here. Get that out of here.
When they started working the red in.
Not good.
Yeah.
But these, again, plain black. It's like the black and the gold.
Uh-huh.
The Steel City colors.
Yes.
And specifically their homes. The white uniforms, Pirates across. And I could make a case for Pittsburgh's hat being in the iconic conversation.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
It's so plain, so fucking perfect.
Yes, it is.
It's just flat black with a P.
Yep. And that's all it needs to be, much like the Royals. And again, it's funny because as you were typing Pittsburgh and you followed up the second word with the letter P, if the second letter in that second word was an E and you were going Penguins, I was going to walk out of here.
I would never do that to you. I would never do that or Steelers.
Yes. But this is, and again, as a Philly guy, not the one thing I will say that I respect about Pittsburgh, though, that I think is awesome, is that all of their teams across every sport have the same colors.
Yeah.
I love that. I fucking love that.
It's like city colors.
Right. You have your identity across all sports. That's your city's identity now. Whereas, the only two teams in Philly that have the same colors are the Phillies and the Sixers. Yeah. So, and that's pretty much the way it is with every city. But I respect the hell out of that with Pittsburgh. I love the ones they've got. My personal favorite, and again, that hat is exquisite. But I go, if it gun to my head, pick your favorite Pirates gear. I like those blacks with the black, the outlined in gold Pittsburgh in cursive across the chest.
These ones right here.
Those are great, man.
Oh God! And we talk a lot about fonts, but this number font,
yes, it matches the P in the hat so perfectly, and it's an underrated detail. It's something you might not look at, but it uniform. They're called uniforms for a reason. Kids,
they're supposed to be uniform,
right? Just matching the P in the hat font to the numbers. It's perfect, man. It's perfect. I can't argue with it, even though I hate all things Pittsburgh because it's cross state. I mean, they're great, man. They're great. The only reason that I don't own a Pirates hat is because it's Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. If they were the Portland Pirates, I'd be all over
I'm on it.
I'm in. Exactly.
Well,
but
even these, they went with the weird sleeve thing at a point. Not my favorite, because that was also this era where they had this and
the pirate dude logo.
It's like, nah, man. Like, they put them on the hat for a little while, and it's like, dude, get that out of. How do you do that?
Right.
You have the perfect.
Yes. Get the red out of here.
Possibly the best hat in baseball.
Yep.
Why are you going to put that dude on there? Get him out of here.
Get updated Bucko Bruce out of here.
And then these weird sleeves, and even these weird sleeves aren't bad, save for the pirate guy.
Yeah, except for the face.
It's a solid uniform.
They work. They do, man.
And
they do.
If you're putting a gun to my head, I think I'm going with the whites, the home whites. God, I love the way the word pirates looks.
I was just gonna say you put the word pirate across the uni, you know what you're not doing? Losing.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, except for in the win-loss column on the field, because the Pirates do a lot of that. But
it is funny that
you look good.
I was so excited because they got decent a couple years ago, and I was like, oh, yes,
Yay.
please be good. Like,
Right.
I want to cheer for the Pirates.
Yeah.
I really do.
Out of the Pittsburgh teams, they are by far for me the lesser of the evils. It's not
Probably
even
because they
close.
stink all the time.
That's exactly. They're not a threat. They're not a threat. They're the lovable losers. You have the Steelers, who are, again, hate to admit it, but when you talk about iconic,
Yeah.
they come to mind. And then you have the Penguins, which if you're a Flyers fan like me, they're the fucking Antichrist. So
Right.
you can't say anything
Same
good
for
about
me,
the Flyers.
dude. I hate the Pens too. I'm a
Yes.
Devils fan.
Right.
I hate the Pens.
Yeah, dude.
Although I was super excited when they first came back into the picture.
Right.
I was like, because they're a classic team.
They
so
are.
It's like
They are.
For me, hockey's better when Pittsburgh's good.
And that's what kills me, because I was having the same conversation. A buddy of mine's a Red Wings fan, and it's hilarious because I love knowing that the Red Wings are epic trash now, because you have, you have the chutzpah to call yourself Hockey Town.
Yeah.
And you're horrendous. You just built this new arena in quote unquote Hockey Town. You can't sell it out. You have iconic gear. It's an iconic franchise, but you're terrible now. But
Makes
again,
me happy.
It does. It's great because they swept the Flyers in the '97 Cup, and I think that was the first time I cried because of a sports result in my lifetime, because I was 9 years old and I didn't know what the fuck. But the NHL is better when the Red Wings are viable. I hate to say it.
We're kind of we're more talking about Pittsburgh right now than anything, and we'll get to your number 4 here in a second. But it is funny, like, considering the teams that we like, how many we hate at the same.
Yep.
Like, I probably hate the Pens almost as much as you do.
Right.
Only you have in state.
Yes.
But we've come across the Pens so many times that it's just, oh, God,
man.
I hate them. But I mean,
Right.
I also equally hate the Flyers.
Right, exactly. And I hate the Devils too, except for one thing that I'm sure we'll touch on at some point. But yeah, man, because the Devils robbed me of a lot of joy in my teenage years, because, Flyers Devs in the early 2000s had epics.
Yeah, heated.
Epics,
I feel the same way about the Red Wings. And I'm sure when you break it down, we probably feel the same way about the Atlanta Braves.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and the Nats.
Yes, but there's all sorts of reasons there.
You got that right.
But all right, so the Pittsburgh Pirates are my number 4.
Respectable. I am going to go for my number 4. Give me the Winnipeg Jets 2019 Heritage Classic unis. They are absolutely amazing. And again, when you talk about, you touch on them as your favorite when we did the current gear, our first episode, they were yours in terms of the NHL, and this was the reason why I left them off because I knew, Winnipeg.
That's good.
You can't go wrong with any of Winnipeg's gear. All of them solid. The current one's great. Like we said, the alternates, the Curse of Jets with the baby blue is kind of obnoxious, but okay. These Heritage Classics, when they came out, it's an homage to the throwback with the logo. You've got the navy blue, that red accent with the white stripes. Everything flows so damn smooth. I mean, I can't say enough good things about this. First of all, I like Winnipeg, the team itself, which helps. Those sweaters are, if I could have sex with them, I would. They are the Amy Adams of hockey sweaters. And even to go sidebar real quick, this game was just aside from it being a hockey game and it being the Heritage Classic, being outside in Saskatoon, I believe it was, it's a great game to watch just strictly for gear because they played Calgary in this. And if you see the Calgary gear that they wore, I love the Flames gear as well. That C is mwah. Love it.
Sea on fire.
Yes, man. And the Flames have sweet gear as well. And as we were this was one that for me, when we were like, okay, top 10, I knew this would be on my list. I just didn't know where. And as I was putting my top 10 together, I started at the top, and they kept hanging around, and they kept creeping higher and higher. And I can't say enough good things about this uni.
I got to be honest, when I looked up the Jets' current gear, this is what popped up.
Okay.
And that's why I went with them.
Gotcha.
Now, that being said, whenever we actually did the episode in their actual current gear,
right,
I was like, oh, no, that's good too. My answer doesn't change. But these, oh my God.
They're the best of the bunch.
It's so clean, and they figured out to do a lot while still being plain.
Yes, exactly. Like, slap the crest on the chest, give it 3 stripes, and be done.
And it's like the red, white, and blue. I was going to say it shouldn't work, but no, it should because it's simple. Right. You look at it, it's just simple, and it's understated here, this collar, the red collar.
Yes.
Just a nice
the Winnipeg
jersey.
in red with the red stripe. You've got the Jets at the font. I love the font the Jets is in there. It's just so 1978. And that in white, it just they flow perfect with the triple stripes. You've got 2 white, 1 red. It just looks amazing, man. And it doesn't help that Winnipeg is a blast of a hockey team to watch.
And I just love that city. Like I've never been, but
Same.
like you put Winnipeg on anything, and I'm probably gonna
Hell
go.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm with it.
Yep. Hell yeah, dude.
So Winnipeg Jets making the list. Did I already type it in? Yes, I did. Wait, no, I didn't. Winnipeg. Oops. On what was it? Heritage Edition.
Heritage Classic. Again, can't go wrong with any of them. That's just of their wardrobe. I go that one.
You know what's funny is like, you've gone like specific with a lot of these, and I think initially I was too, and then I think I may be repeating myself. I think the thing that I kept coming back to was like over the career.
Yeah,
these are just all there isn't bad ones to pick from. So that being said, we literally traded on our current favorites. Because you had the Winnipeg Jets.
Oh, wow.
And I've got the San Jose Sharks.
Okay, hell yes. They deserve a top 10 spot.
And I think if you want to put a gun in my head, I'm probably going expansion Sharks gear.
Yeah.
Let me put first gear here. First uniforms. Normally I don't like to talk and type, but I think
so good.
It's just
the Archer's Herbe years.
Yeah. And so we got the gray in there in the bottom stripe.
Yep.
Again, I think that's underrated.
Yes,
it's an underrated touch.
It is.
Because it comes back right here on your sleeves.
Yep.
And that the teal can't be beat. And then I don't care how many times we have to repeat ourselves, the shark biting the stick.
So great.
It shouldn't work.
So great.
It's so good that here in our area, we tried to copy it with the rhinos.
Right. And failed miserably.
We sure did.
But it's great. An underrated aspect of hockey sweaters is the tail stripe. Whatever you do on the tail has to match the stripe sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
And it does perfectly with these. I love the inaugural ones too. And again, this is it. They kind of tweak them over the years. I think you can pick any Sharks one and be okay. I tend to lean kind of the inaugural ones as well. I think they still wear these as an alternate sometimes. But they just, and this is another one that the kind of process of elimination of, okay, Winnipeg, San Jose, favorite gear versus top 10. I gave the slight edge of the Winnipeg heritage, but if I did not go San Jose Sharks as my favorite current gear, which it is, I would have had them on my top 10 as well, because they were, when I was going through initially jotting down everything that, came to mind, they were 100% in the conversation.
These, I find that every other conversation we have somehow leads back to the San Jose Sharks.
Yes.
Because I don't want to belabor the point here, but we both have mentioned that we root for them.
Yeah.
And there literally is no other reason than their uniforms for me.
Right.
I mean, there's times where I'm like, okay, I like this player.
Yes.
But more often than not, it's just because I want them to win. I love the name. I love the gear.
Yep.
I just want to see them win.
Everything works. Everything works when it comes to the Sharks. It really does.
So that's my number 3, the San Jose Sharks. And like I said, I think I'm going to hone that down to inaugural.
Okay, and I think that's probably the best of the bunch. I do. You can't go wrong anyway with San Jose, though. My top 3, I'm going to kick off. I'm going to go back to the NBA. Give me the teal Vancouver Grizzlies.
Oh, snap.
And they have just brought these back as kind of like an alternate deal. I saw them wearing it a couple times since they've been in the bubble. John Moran out there chucking it in these.
Big country fan,
Brian Reeves. Hell yeah, man. Sharif Abdur-Rahim back in the day. Mike Bibby before he became Mike Bibby.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of, if you notice, there's a lot of teal here in our lists.
Mm-hmm.
Teal is a win if you can make it work, and these are, a lot of teal going on. I love the way the Grizzlies, the font, again, 90s as hell, but it pops out at you. You know what I mean? You've got the Vancouver written between the G and the S in the Grizzlies logo in red, very small, but it looks good. I love that they brought these back, because I don't even, when they moved to Memphis, they had a couple years where their gear was kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
But what they've switched to now, their primaries, isn't bad. I don't hate it. And I hated when they moved to Memphis, because, and there's nothing against the city of Memphis, I'm sure it's a lovely place, but these unis went away.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, now they've started to bring them back, and I could not be more excited.
God, look at this logo.
It's so great, man.
So 90s.
It is 90s as all hell, but there's a lot of that in my countdown. But they're great, man. They're great. And it's funny because as we were putting the list together, this was one that, and I told you off air, my top 2 were locks, 1 and 2 from the moment we began this, but we were kind of putting these lists together, and I came across, and they were in my initial ones I would jot down. And as I'm kind of going through and sifting through and filtering through everything, I came across a Grizzlies game in the bubble on the TV, and they had those on, and I was like, oh.
I think they played the Raptors in them, and the Raptors were in their expansion gear too.
No,
I think so.
Oh my God, I have to find that.
I remember seeing, because I remember that's how I knew. I was watching bubble clips, and I was like, I know for a fact I saw the Raptors playing and the Grizzlies playing in expansion gear. Now
that is 90s, because they both came in at the same time.
Yeah, they were at the same year. Yep.
That is so great. I have to find that, because I think the game when I came across them, I think they were playing New Orleans. The Pelicans was just, get out of here with that name.
Mm-hmm.
But
State bird, apparently. That's why
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Pick a better bird. NOLA. Christ.
Pelicans.
That is awful.
I kind of like their city gear though, the NOLA.
It's
I
not,
want to hate it, but it reminds me of the Nuggets old stuff.
Yeah. It's just that name. It's really hard to get up for a professional sports franchise being called the Pelicans, because I always go back to Scarface when he's sitting in his hot tub or whatever, in Tony Montana and Scarface, and he's looking at like something on the TV, and it's clearly a flamingo on the TV about to fly away, but he's Scarface and he's coked out of his skull, and he goes, "Look at the pelican fly, come on, pelican." I always go back to that when I hear Pelicans for some reason. And it just, it's clunky as a team name. But that's who I saw Vancouver playing in these unis, and I had them on there, and I was kind of trying to, okay, where's it going to go where? And I'm like, God, those are just, they're too good not to have, not in my top 5. I knew as soon as I saw them again, without Googling, before I was piecing everything together, I'm like, they're top 5. I don't know where, but they're top 5.
You know what's funny is you had Toronto, and Toronto was on my radar. Vancouver, not.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like these were kind of, because I've had these, like, they were kind of on the peripheral for me for a while. But you kind of forget about them, because Toronto would still wear theirs as alternates here and there. It was only maybe 1 or 2 games a year, but if you happen to catch it, it stayed fresh in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was just because, Toronto stayed in Toronto since. And
I think you just nailed it, because when they moved to Memphis, I was pissed.
Yes.
I was like, why the Grizzlies in Memphis? Like,
yeah, right.
No thanks.
And then these jerseys went by the wayside, RIP, and you got those weird, like the navy blue deal or whatever it was, and it just they didn't, because their ones they wear now aren't bad. They have kind of like a Blue Jay-ish font. They're not awful.
If I spelled it right.
But there was definitely a stretch, man, where Memphis just had awful unis.
Is this what they're wearing now?
I'm pretty sure that is it. And they're not terrible. I don't hate them. But you
not
had
my favorite in the league.
No, definitely not.
It's been 20 years? Wow.
Has it been that long? My God, I feel old. Okay, those are the ones now. Yeah, and I like those. I don't love them, but I like them. Those are the ones for me that it's like, okay, you're trying to keep the Vancouver deal alive, kind of, but it's not working.
See, they're calling it the Classic Edition.
Yeah,
and this was the 20 years, which means it's been longer,
right?
20 years since they moved.
Doesn't it make you feel old, man?
Very much so, because I remember Vancouver being an expansion team. Damn
it, right. That's when it started clicking for me. Christ, I'm old as hell. When I found out the Jaguars were around for 25 years, I'm like, my God. Because I remember vividly them and the Panthers coming into the league together. And again, their gear now is not my absolute favorite in the NBA. I don't even know that I'd put it top 5, but I don't hate it. But all I know is it took being able to see these unis away on a regular basis. And I wish they would go back to them full time. I do.
I'd be curious to see, because they were the other team on the bubble, in the bubble. Suns went 8-0, and if the Nets beat the Blazers, Memphis and Phoenix have a play-in.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that would have been awesome.
Hell yeah, it would have been, man.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Right.
I could spend all day crying about it. We're going to stay in the bubble, though, and you have no idea how hard this is for me to type, because I hate this team. I hate them. But this gear, again, belongs in the iconic conversation as well.
I know.
But it's undeniable. It is,
man.
And it's been the same forever. Like, we're talking about the Los Angeles Lakers here. There isn't an iteration of the Lakers gear that's bad.
There's not. There's really not.
None.
And
you have to go back to when they were in Minneapolis. Like there was a time where they had like these. I can't even picture it right now.
Weird. It's like a baby blue kind of.
Yeah, and
it's
like, no thanks.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all.
But every iteration of purple and gold and white and gold,
yes,
white and purple, it all works.
Purple and gold together is awesome.
This logo, iconic.
Yep.
These jerseys.
When you
Look
have
at this.
Yeah, I know. I can't stand the Lakers, man. But their gear is timeless. Their gear is timeless. There's a reason why, going back to, the Chiefs, when you bring them up, there's a reason if a team's gear doesn't change over, as many years as the Chiefs and the Lakers have been around, if the gear doesn't change, and again, you have minor tweaks, like during the Magic years, in the Wilt years, they had the accent on the numbers. Then during the Kobe years, they kind of got away from it. Now they got back to it. But minor tweaks, that happens. But when the uni itself remains largely unchanged, you've got something.
And we can look at Kobe years, we can look at the current LeBron years, we can look at the Magic years.
They're all great.
It's all great. And
yes.
Again, like the yellow homes are good.
Yep.
The purple aways are great.
They are.
I love the whites. The white homes.
The whites are clean.
Oh, I hate them.
I know.
I hate them so much.
But the gear, man.
They've caused me so much heartache as a Suns fan. So much heartache. But that gear is undeniable.
It is.
I would probably rock a King James jersey. I probably would. Again, I can't wear basketball gear.
Right.
But, oh, God, look, here's a shot of... I wish this had... When I typed it up, it would have brought up some of their older gear, too. I mean, I know it's the same, but we've seen like the Kobe
tweaks.
So the Kobe years, they had like a purple stripe down the side, which again, it looks great. But like these clean yellows that they've gone back to, it's just solid yellow all the way around.
They do look good. It's an undeniable look, man. It's one of those things. It hits when you see a certain color combination and you immediately think of a team. It cannot even be related to sports, but you see purple and gold and you think Lakers.
The Lake Show.
Right. So, hate them as much as we do, but the look is, it's timeless. And
they haven't strayed. I'm sure at some point they probably did the black thing too.
I do think they had a black alternate because, it's everybody at some point were a black alternate, whether they should have or not. The Lakers, much like the Royals, like we said to start the episode here, the Royals shouldn't have had a black one alternate just because, obviously. The Lakers shouldn't have either. I'm pretty sure they did at some point. I know there's a version where they have, I think there's a version of their purples where they have a black kind of stripe down the side, I think, that's accented in yellow.
There's a...
But there it is. And...
That's the one I didn't like. The Los Angeles, it's like a lighter blue, and it just says Los Angeles in cursive.
Yep. Light blue with the baby blue. Yeah, kind of clunky. There's the black ones. Yeah, and they're just...
They're not awful, but you're the Lakers. You don't need to do that.
You got to stay purple and gold. But, hey, at least apparently they did call the promotion Hollywood Nights, it looks like. I mean, I guess there it works. Right.
Okay, so this I don't mind so much. There's like these alternates where they did the old school that I don't like, the blue.
Right.
With the Curse of Los Angeles. I don't know if they ever wore this, but it's that same design, only in the purple and gold.
Right.
Only the jersey's black. I like that. That looks good.
I don't know if they wore them either. They do look... If you're the Lakers and you're going to do a black alternate, that's the way to go because you still have to incorporate that purple and gold.
You have to be there. It has to.
It's not a Lakers uni without the purple and gold. That's why those and I get why they did the baby blue ones because homage to the Minneapolis days, but it doesn't work like that. You know that if you're a historian or if you're like Bob Ryan and you're 90 years old. Like, people don't know the Lakers is the Minneapolis Lakers because it's so far gone. The Lakers are purple and gold, point blank, and that's the only way that it works. And again, I am not, me and whites, not a big fan, man, but those white Lakers,
it just looks clean.
They're respectable, man. Yeah. They're respectable because the Lakers, the font and everything. Again, that font we talk about font. The font that the logo, the word Lakers is in. It looks good. As much as I hate to admit it, it pops on that white. The numbers look good when they're highlighted with that yellow. You can't argue with it, man. And you think about it, so many greats have worn these things.
Yeah.
The logo, Jerry West, Kareem, Kobe, Shaq, LeBron now,
James Worthy.
Right.
Like that's he gets overlooked, but James Worthy was the dude.
Yep, exactly, man. Him, Gail Goodrich back in the day. They're timeless. There's a reason they haven't changed. Big Shot Bob.
I hate his guts.
Yep, I think unless you're a Lakers fan, you hate Big Shot Bob just because he got in the way.
Well, okay, so like if you're a Rockets fan, you love Big Shot Bob.
Okay,
If you are a Spurs fan, you love Big Shot Bob. If you're a Lakers fan, you love Big Shot Bob. If you're a Suns fan, you hate his guts because he killed us. He killed us on all three of those teams, and he didn't do jack when we had him.
Yep.
He's Big Shot Bob on every team except for ours.
Except Phoenix.
Get out of here.
Thanks, you dick.
Get out of here. I don't like these grays either.
Yeah,
but
no, they're...
It's as far as uniforms go, the Lakers are flawless.
They are. And you can hate a team but again, that gear, if you're just looking strictly at the spectrum of gear you like, it's nice. It's nice, man.
And again, how good does the gear have to be to not only just be a team I hate as much as them, but they're my number 2.
Yeah.
And there was no question.
Right.
Like it was going to be there. Once I allowed them in my list, they was skyrocketed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, cuz if you're going to if now you open it up to hatred, now you've forgiven the part that would keep it out, like you said. So at that point it's like, okay, if I'm going to do it, I might as well make it worth it and put them where they belong. All right.
Los Angeles Lakers are my number 2.
I am my number 2, and I'm pretty sure I told you off air. I think in the several discussions we had leading up to starting this podcast, I think we touched on this one before, and I'm pretty sure you hated it. But I'm not positive. I could be confusing that with another one. Canada is very heavy in my top 5. And I'm going to stick with the same city as number 3. For number 2, I'm going with the Vancouver Canucks, but I'm going with the black flying skate sweaters, the Pavel Bure years, kind of the late 80s to the, through the early to mid 90s. I love those, man. I love those. They're not for everybody. I know not everybody likes them. I can't remember if these were ones that you didn't like or not. But there's something about it, man.
You know what's funny is I did tell you I hated them.
Okay.
I did. Now that I'm looking at them, these ones I hate more. Like this weird whale thing.
Yeah, the late 90s to early 2000s whale was just awful. The whale they have now is okay, because they've gone back to the green and the blue, and it's not bad. But when they tried to keep the red, when they transitioned out of the flying skate, when they tried to keep the red and go back to like a navy blue with white mix in there, they were awful. These ones for me, and again, I think what part of it is, if I'm being honest, is the black and orange deal. And it's not even like an orange. It's kind of like a more yellowy kind of, but
very, very light orange.
You have that red in there as the accent. I love the flying skate logo. The logo itself, again, there's a lot going on there. There's a lot going on. That logo, again, reeks of kind of the era it came from. And even the whites. I love the white ones in this.
This looks like, as you were talking, I'm looking at this specific Pavel Bure jersey from, it's one of the whites. And the numbers look clean, crisp.
Yep.
Like the name, it looks good.
They're good,
I want to argue so bad because I did tell you I hate them. But now that I'm looking at it, it immediately, when I typed it up and it pops up, I immediately think of like NHL 94.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of how many days I spent playing on Super Nintendo that game.
Yep.
And so it takes me right there. And I want to hate it. I really do. But what's the hate?
It's such a good look to me, man. It's definitely of its era. And what I didn't like about this is from here, Vancouver, if you look, like we were just talking about the Lakers for you at number 2, where you have the Lakers look over the years, iconic, unchanged, elite. Vancouver's gotten really weird at times.
Yeah, like that
really
weird whale.
Weird. Yeah, man. If you look at that one down there, the red and black, the flying skate, that like the top half is red and the bottom half is black.
Yeah,
I think it was like it was an alternate in like the mid 90s, I think. Okay, 95. Yeah. fucking terrible, man. They had before these, they had kind of like the Tiger Williams years where you had just, it was a black jersey, it was a black or orange, and it had just a big ass V coming across the over the shoulder pads, kind of through across the front of the jersey. It was just a large V. I don't know if you can look. I think it's 1980s Vancouver Canucks right there. Just terrible. And it looks, and there's the black one. If you look up, if you play along at home, kids, Google 1980s Vancouver Canucks.
Ew.
Sweat. And they are god awful.
That might be one of the worst things I've ever seen.
They are absolutely among the worst in sports. That's what I'm saying. The Canucks can range, and I don't hate their current gear now, even though they've gone back to their original kind of blue and green color scheme. To me, though, this was always my personal favorite. And again, the Canucks have some good, they have a lot of shit as well. This is, depending on what side of the spectrum you're on, this is one or the other. I always, again, had I not grown up with this one, it may not have stood out to me the way it did, but young me loved this one, and I just always hit file, save as in the memory bank with it. And again, that black.
Yuck. Look at this.
Yeah, I mean, those are.
That's, ugh.
They've had some terrible ones over the years, man. They have. It's something about these, man. The black, the red, the orangish yellow. It pops. I love the logo. It's of its era. It's of a time.
So I think the only thing is, I guess it depends on where you land on this logo. Because if you hate the logo, you're going to hate this jersey.
Right.
Because the color scheme's top notch.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, it's a good looking jersey. Like if you remove the logo, everything else about it
clicks.
It's great.
Yep.
If you hate the logo, you're going to hate the jersey because it's huge.
It's very, very big. That logo takes up the majority of the chest. It's a very large, very aggressive logo.
Ew, look at this.
Yeah, I remember this. So they had of the same thing. They had the same thing, but they had like a yellow, orangish, that color alternate. And that one looked like vomit. But, I will always lean, and that's what I like the white ones out of these two. I do. I will always be a guy that leans team color jersey every time. Mm-hmm. And those blacks, they speak to me, man.
So we're going to stay in Canada, and we're going to stay in the NHL for my number one. And this was never in question because they're perfect, man. Like I can't.
Yep.
I want to hate them. Sometimes they're a laughing stock. It's the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah. They were a tough cut for me. They were a very tough cut, and I think this is where maybe my fandom interfered. And we've talked about this one before. Love this gear, man. Hate the team because the Flyers had a lot of like just battles with those Pat Quinn era Leafs that had just dickhead after dickhead on the team. Darcy Tucker, Brian McCabe, Matt Sundin, guys like that.
Sundin.
And not one Matt, two Matts, plural. Yep. But even though Darcy Tucker, I think, murdered Sammy Kapanen, and he's still looking for the bench now. These are. I'm a guy that just put a hockey one at two. These are as iconic sweaters as there are. They're so great.
Again, you and I on the same wavelength. I'm a Devils fan. Right. I hate the Leafs.
Yes,
I really do. Even though, like, again, this is a team when they're better, hockey's better.
100%. 100%.
Because it's a hockey city. It's Toronto,
it's
man.
Toronto, exactly.
But like, oh God, like it's simple.
It is.
Even though like these newer ones where the leaf is a little bit more like, I don't want to call
leafy.
It. Yeah, it's a little bit more realistic.
Yes.
This is busy. They've got the full words Toronto Maple Leafs. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't work. It shouldn't. But it's still simple. Like the rest of the sweater is just solid.
Yep.
You've got a couple stripes.
That's it.
I
tend to prefer the leaf that doesn't have as many leaves on the leaf, if that makes sense. Kind of like the
flat.
That one. Yes,
the flat is much better.
The Felix Potvin era leaf. Mm-hmm. I kind of like that one a little better. That said, there's nothing wrong with the other one either. Like you said, it is very
too.
busy. Yeah, it was a shoulder patch then, and that was kind of, I believe, their original one. They just, okay, let's do an homage and modernize it. Even though I prefer the other leaf, you can't argue it.
Like, what do you do here? And again, for the most part, it's been the same.
Yes,
I see here. This is probably some throwback where there's like the stripes are in the middle.
Yeah,
which, Stadium Series, it's not great, but it's also not awful.
Right. It's hard to mess up, and they're another one like we were saying with the Royals. There's no third color because
Thankfully.
you don't need one.
Thankfully,
You don't need one, right? You don't need a black alternate there, Toronto. And thankfully Toronto, they seem to know what they've got. They seem to know what they've got. They seem to know that their look is just the elite of the elite.
I like these ones too, like that where the stripe is across the top.
Yeah, those were, I think, like kind of like a late 70s, early 80s type deal, the Darryl Sittler years. Those were solid. And like you said, I mean, you can even, as much as you can tweak the jersey a little bit if you want. You can put something on the shoulders. I tend to go, like you were saying, just the clean blue sweater with the thin white stripes is a nice look. You can't go wrong, man. I think there's something about, and it's funny, that we do Royals and Leafs here. Blue and white, man.
Mm-hmm.
Blue and white. Even to go to a team we've talked about before off air, the Quebec Nordiques.
Oh God,
it's a different shade of blue, but the white with the floors.
those are trouble.
Man,
Those are trouble.
They are. They are. The Deeks are R.I.P. the Deeks, but Jesus, you want to talk about gear, But blue and white, man. Unless it's the Dallas Cowboys, but they put silver in there as well. The Maple Leafs are as good as it gets, man. They're as good as it gets.
And again, once they were on my top 10, like it was never a question that they were going to be on. But once I settled in, I'm like, they just kept going up and up and up and up. And I'm like, I want to hate them. I hate the Leafs. I hate them.
Yes.
But everything about it, Toronto Maple Leafs.
Even the name is so cool.
It's just, that's Canadian. Yes, I like it.
They're called the Maple Leafs. Not even leaves.
Maple
Leafs. Just that little thing. God, it's great, man.
And there's no red.
None. I want to own one of these sweaters because I'm a hockey guy, but I don't think I can. I will always appreciate those because they're as exquisite as it gets, and I don't use that word lightly there because they are. But I just don't think I could wear one without melting. But they're great. I'm gonna close out my list. My number one's a little. These are another one. You either love or you hate.
All right.
But it's a classic, and it's ever since I've seen them, they have always been. They're not one of my teams. We'll save that combo for another day. But these have always been across sports my favorite uni. Give me the creamsicle Bucks. And I like the orange one better, but again, this is another one, and I'm not typically a white jersey guy, but the whites work for me, and especially with the orange pants back in the day, it's a color that, again, that creamsicle orange, I don't think you see that color anywhere else across sports.
No, not really.
And the logo is, there's something about that, Bucko Bruce. I know it looks kind of whatever, but it's different. You don't see that anywhere else. It's so different looking.
God, look at that helmet.
It's of its time. The creamsicle orange face mask, man, against the white with the logo. And you have the creamsicle orange jersey, the red outline, the white number, it pops. Again, those whites, man, with the cream pants. You have the red and white stripe down the side. There's something about them, man, that have always just been like those. And again, my favorite color is orange, so I'll admit that's probably like when I was a kid. And these were still the Bucks unis when I was growing up. So, you see a Buccaneers game back in the day, that's what they were wearing. So I think they were just, embedded in my subconscious from a young age, but Christ almighty, I love them. And I know not everybody does. People make fun of them. People make fun of the logo. That is a color that should not be anywhere, anywhere in sports. But I love it.
No, I get it. I get it wholeheartestavely. And you think about some of the players who rocked these.
Yeah, man.
And went on to greatness elsewhere.
Right.
Steve Young, Vinny Testaverde.
Yep.
I mean,
yep. They were not good in these for the most part at all.
They didn't. They really, look, 1991, they were 3-13. Like, they were a joke.
Yes.
And I think a good part of it was these uniforms.
Yeah, 100%, because when they came into the league, I think they didn't win a game their first year, and I think I'm pretty sure they went 0-26. They didn't win a game until their 27th game, And again, when you look like that, though, you better win. And this was pre-internet, people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Johnny Carson made fun of him back in the day, but he was the equivalent of like memes on the internet back then. Yeah. You know what I mean? This was before internet, when you could just go to Facebook and a meme would shit on anything. But when you're 0-26 and you're Johnny Carson's dumping on you, if you're going to look like that, you have to win. You have to win. And they didn't for pretty much ever when they wore those, for the most part. I think they went to the NFC Championship, and I want to say 1979 maybe. They had a couple okay years, but predominantly, like, the Bucks didn't become good until they made the scheme switch and they went to the pewter. And
like Sapp comes around.
Yeah, the Gruden years. And those are, I don't hate Tampa's. Even the pewter ones, get those digital alarm clock numbers the hell out of here.
We'll be talking about Tampa at length.
Yes, but the pewter is okay. I like it. I mean, that's become like a buzz color lately. The gunmetal type or whatever. But I always go back to the creamsicles, man. I do. Those orange ones are just they do something to me, man. They do.
What's funny is, again, I don't know that they would have come on to the conversation for me at all for my top 10.
Yeah.
But the second you said it, I was like, no, I see it.
Yeah.
I loved them.
They were
different.
A
laughing stock.
Yes.
And again, the uniform was part of it, and they stunk to high heavens. But if we're removing all of that from it,
right,
and just looking at just the uniforms, to include the helmet.
Yep. And
They're great.
It's like we say, too, the identity, man.
Mm-hmm.
The identity. There has been no other team that is. I mean, Vancouver. Okay, if you go back to my number 2, Vancouver, they had the black and the red and the orangish yellowish, but it wasn't it. This shade of orange has never. It's its own color. There's a reason why you say the term creamsicle Bucks, and immediately you know the uniform that you're talking about. I mean, they're amazing. And they brought him back a couple years ago, and then the NFL came up with that stupid rule, like we were talking, you can't have multiple color helmets. You got to wear the same color helmet the whole season.
Boo.
So RIP creamsicles. And I was really hoping that when they kind of, we're going to new unis this past offseason, I was like, please go back to the creamsicle, or at least maybe modernize it. And then Brady signed them. Like, they're not going to do Brady in a creamsicle. The NFL would not allow that. So, RIP creamsicles, at least for now, again. But I would love for the NFL to pass the rule of allowing multiple color helmets. Why the hell not? It opens up the window for just fun, man. And I know for a fact, I'm pretty sure that they would have to bring these uniforms back. I mean, they were still wearing them, and like 2010, I think, was the last time they wore them ish, somewhere around there. You gotta bring these back if you're Tampa, at least for a day, for a game. If you're doing the,
God, it would make so much sense with Brady.
Yes,
coming from the Patriots with the other laughingstock logo.
Right, Flying Elvis. I hate that thing, and that's another. I wish they should have gone back to the Patriot Pat hiking the ball. You want to rebrand, okay, the princess is out of town now. Let's go back. You know what I mean? So I think they missed the boat there. And, but these have always been the top of my list.
Well,
always.
What's funny is, now that we're here talking about it and thinking about this color screams to me modern. Like, I feel like people would eat this alive now.
Yes.
If you presented it in the correct way, like you have to modernize the font a little bit, you probably have to modernize Buck.
Yeah.
But I think people would eat it up.
100%, man, because it's so different.
Who wants to wear this?
It's so right.
Nobody wants to wear
nobody. They're terrible. And the current Bucks, and they kind of went back to like the Warren Sapp years. They ditched the alarm clock numbers, which is a plus. Okay, you made it better. I don't even hate the pewter at all. I get what you're trying to do with the pewter, and they tried to bring the creamsicle orange back as an accent color with the alarm. The clock numbers, the Jameis Winston era. They tried, but it's like it can't. I don't know. Maybe it's just because when I think creamsicle Bucks, I think of that uni from back in the day, but I don't think you can use that. That doesn't work as an accent color. You got to go all in with it. To me, if you're going to do it, embrace it for what it is. John Lynch wore those too. That's right, man.
A great player.
Hall of Famer, yeah.
Great player.
Yep.
On a sucky team.
Horrible.
But I think he was there through the Super Bowl team.
He was. He didn't sign with Denver until I think the late 2000s. So he was there for years, man. And, I've always gone back to these. They stand out to me, man. They're timeless, in my opinion.
Tampa Bay Bucks. All right, so I'm going to do a quick rundown of my 10, and if you want to follow that up with yours.
Yeah.
So my 10, West Virginia Mountaineers, throwing everybody for a loop. The Edmonton Oilers, the Portland Trailblazers, specifically the Drexler era, San Francisco Giants, the Zoe era of the Charlotte Hornets, the Kansas City Royals, Pittsburgh Pirates, the inaugural San Jose Sharks, Los Angeles Lakers, and the Toronto Maple Leafs were my number 1.
All right, so my top 10 from 10 to 1 is the Gretzky-era Black LA Kings coming in at number 10. Number 9 is the original Toronto Raptors, the Purples. Number 8, the Chargers Powder Blues. Number 7, the Arizona Coyotes Kachina jersey. Number 6, the Miami Heat Miami Vice City Edition black uniform. Number 5, the St. Louis Blues Gretzky-era, the mid-90s angled stripes and the horn logo. Number 4, the Winnipeg Jets Blue 2019 Heritage Classic. Number 3, the teal Vancouver Grizzlies uni. Number 2, the Pavel Bure era, late 80s to mid 90s flying skate Vancouver Canucks black sweaters. And number 1, simply put, the creamsicle Bucks. Just 2 words. That's all you need with that one.
And as we said, this is very fluid. Some of these probably will not move. Some of them will 100% move.
Yep. There's a couple now, man, that I'm like, God, I can't. Like when you went Royals, man, I went, fuck. I'm an idiot.
But then you got to think of what's out. So that's
Right.
always the thing.
Right.
Is if you want to bring something else in, you got to knock something else out.
You got to chop something else off, which is, God, it took how long to get to just these 10?
Right.
I mean, they are here for a reason.
So with that, I'm anxious to hear your top 10. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes.
Give us your top 5.
Yep.
Just whatever your favorite uniform is. Let's just talk about it. And
Absolutely.
Let's talk gear, because that's what we're here for.
Yep.
And if you're listening to this, you're listening to it somewhere.
Right.
It's on Apple Podcasts, whatever. Hit that subscribe button. Make life easier for you. That means whenever we put out a new episode, it comes right to you.
Boom.
Done and done. If you're listening on Spotify, hit the follow button. I don't know what to tell you what to do with the Google podcast because I've never looked at it, but I'm pretty sure it's a similar option.
They've
subscribe
got a button
or follow.
to hit. Exactly.
Hit it. And if you can, rate, comment, all those things help us move up the ladder.
Damn right.
I'm out of practice with that stuff because I don't do it on any other show. I care deeply about this show.
Hell
I want it
yeah.
to succeed.
Hell yeah, we need your help. You can follow us as well on Instagram and Twitter at Gear Freaks Pod is where you find us on Instagram and Twitter. Yes. So that's where we're at. Comment section are always welcome again. Let us know. Even top 10 would be preferred because the more the better. But even if you want to just shoot us your favorite across any sport or all sports, let us know.
And with that, we'll see you next week.
Suckers!